Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. Visit parishbuilt.com. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Okay, y'all. I'm sure this will be a fun one. LSU falls flat on his face and gets blown out 42-13. Go this way. And in so doing, your playoff hopes for the year are effectively done. There's a extremely unlikely but possible scenario that I'll lay out for you. Lay it out in the Locked on LSU episode that I did last night, late night. So did whiskey and wine and got home and did my Locked On podcast and I had to shower and get to bed. So late night. We got a Saints game day today as well. The Darren Rizzi era begins. So we'll talk a little Saints Falcons as well. I get to a lot of your comments, so fire away. I think your immediate reaction yesterday during whiskey and wine, and then my reaction still today remains. Go this way. Teams lose games. You're not going to win every game, and so it's not even so much that you lost. It's all the circumstances around it where, this was, as everyone said, a de facto playoff elimination game. You had it at home. You had 2 weeks to prepare. You were coming off a disappointing finish against Texas A&M. You knew what you had to work on. And coming out of the A&M game, I think we could pretty clearly look at the things that LSU had to work on, right? It was stopping a mobile quarterback. It was turnovers, and then it was your special teams issues. Well, you lost the turnover battle 3-0. You allowed Milroe to have 12 carries for 185 and 4 touchdowns. So back-to-back years, you've allowed him to run for 4 touchdowns. And then special teams, Ramos did make both of his field goals. And Xavier Thomas did have a kickoff return, the opening kickoff for 50 yards. But on top of that, Blake Oxendorf punted the one punt that actually mattered was a low liner punt that allowed Ryan Williams to return it 22 yards or 28 yards, whatever it was. It set them up 28 yards, set them up at the LSU 48. Xavier Thomas returned another kickoff only to your own 17-yard line. Then another one to your own 18-yard line. I mean, every way that could have gone bad, it went bad, almost from jump. So, the pivotal moment, similar to A&M, was a turnover. Against A&M, it was Nuss rolling through the interception. Against Bama, it was the fumble because you got in the 4th and 1 stop. Remember, it's 14-6. It's a 1-score game. There's 3.5 minutes to go. You're getting the ball to start the second half. So my thought is, all right, you just got this 4th and 1 stop. It's 14-6. You've hung in there. You've weathered the storm figuratively and literally. And now if you get points, then you get the ball to start the second half. You get a chance to maybe take the lead, and then you flip the whole complexion of the game. And first play, Nussmeier fumbles. Chester missed the block. Go this way. Chester missed the block. Nussmeier didn't hold on to the ball. I don't know if raining or whatever happened with it altogether, but either way, that was just that did it. And they scored to go up 21-6. And even still, at 21-6, you got the ball back with 2:28, and that was as poorly executed a 2-minute offense as I can imagine. And then you got the ball to start the second half, and you went right down the field, converted 2 4th downs, a 4th and 1, a 4th and 4, and you end up with 1st and goal from the 5. Williams has a 1-yard run, and then on 2nd and goal from the 4, you throw the interception. And that was it at that point. So, you had your opportunities to get back in it. You didn't. You lose, and so now you look at what's left to play for the season. I guess I could lay out the very improbable scenario that I was talking about, which is remember, you've only got 2 SEC. You have 3 losses, but only 2 SEC losses. So there is a scenario where you could win a 2-loss tiebreaker and get to Atlanta, potentially, likely against Texas A&M. If A&M wins out, Texas would have a second loss. You need Auburn to beat Alabama, Georgia to beat Tennessee. Go this way. And then Mississippi State to beat Ole Miss, which is highly unlikely. But there's a scenario that could unfold there whereby as a among a host of 2-loss teams, you could find your way to Atlanta. But again, that is so improbable. I think the reality is now you realize you got 3 games left. You're going to play a 3rd-string quarterback against Florida next week, who just got bludgeoned by Texas. Then you're going to be home against Vandy, who just got routed by South Carolina, and then you're home against Oklahoma, who lost to Missouri. Man, what a dreadful day for my picks too yesterday. So like our staff picks, not that anybody really cares about this, but sometimes it's like strikes and gutters, right? So I had Vanderbilt, and that didn't go well. I had Oklahoma, and they were leading the whole freaking game and blew it at the end. Had Georgia, that didn't go well. And then I had Utah, which I went to bed, like I finished Locked On, and I went to bed, and Utah was up 2. It was like 21-19. And there's a minute left, and BYU's got like a 4th and 10 at their own 10-yard line. I'm going, all right, go this way. So anyway, so my picks went. The only pick I got right was Colorado. It was 1-4 yesterday. In the Oklahoma and BYU ones, I have no idea how those lost. I still don't know what happened with BYU. I mean, that's crazy. Anyway, whatever. Strikes and gutters. Okay, let's say some good morning, see what y'all got. Let's see. Lewoski, good morning. I have to say, being a Tiger fan, born and raised in Tuscaloosa, this loss hurts so bad. This team cost me having to wear Bama gear. Don't make bets. That overcast weather is making it worse. Why do you believe there's a lack of physicality as a motivation? Who's over strength and conditioning will look so soft? Yeah, it's a good question. So go this way. So go this way. So yeah, Jake Flint is a strength and conditioning coordinator. I think part of it defensively is you need dudes. You don't have dudes. It's hard to say and to realize that while you're in the middle of the season, but if you remember, like we all talked about it all off season. Brian Kelly told you they needed to go in the portal and get defensive linemen. You just don't have them. And your best one was Jacoby Guillory, and you got a game and a half out of him. Offensively, I think it's a sign of the times that you're seeing more like lean, athletic offensive linemen, and you're not seeing as many guys like Damian Lewis and Trey Turner, Herman Johnson, these big like interior guys that are just maulers. You know, you just don't have those guys. And maybe it's part of the offense that you want to run and how athletic defensive linemen are now. But, you know, 44 the legendary, we signed this guy to a 10-year contract. You did. So I'll also say 44 the legendary. You signed a guy to a 10-year contract that beat Bama in year one when they had Nick Saban, that beat Ole Miss earlier this year. And so you've had good moments and you've had signs that they're going in the right direction, but you've also had moments like the second half against A&M and then last night against Bama that make you realize you're not a championship contender yet, because to be a championship contender, you have to be consistent. Listen, Bama's in a similar spot. I mean, they gave up 40 to Vanderbilt. They lost to Tennessee. They've not looked great, which actually makes this sting even more, because you realize like that's not a great Alabama team, and their quarterback is a one-trick pony. He can't throw the football vertically. you knew the one thing he was going to do, and you couldn't stop it, which is a giant concern. Go this way. I mean, the fact that Vanderbilt held him to 7 carries for 10 yards, the fact that he had 2 rushing yards against South Florida, and he goes off for 185 and 4 touchdowns against you. I mean, Blake Baker, what were we doing for the last 2 weeks? And were you surprised? Like, the whole surprise dangle goes out the window now. Jacob, morning, Matt. What a bad night. Confused what happened to the offense over 2 weeks. Look like a total different team. Well, Jacob, a big part of it is your red zone issues. And some of that stems from your inability to run the football. You know, I mean, you had short field opportunities against A&M. You didn't cash in. And then obviously last night, Caden Durham, second play from scrimmage, runs 45 yards out of the 5-yard line, and you can't get in the end zone. I mean, how different is that game if you get a touchdown there? Opening drive of the second half. You're all the way down inside the 5, and thus throws the pick. I mean, that's been a huge part of it, has been your inability to convert touchdowns in the red zone. Bubba, good morning. Can only imagine how insane your mentions must have been last night. I was at the 2018 game, and I don't think it felt this bad. Oh, 2018 felt this bad. 2018 felt worse. And I don't know. My mentions always look bad. I don't really care. But the thing that I've said consistently the entire time about Bama is it's never had anything to do with LSU. It's everything to do with the fact that they're not going to be great again. And they're going to lose again. And I'll look forward to I'll do Bama's burn again the next time because they're going to lose again. Go this way. And I'll watch them melt because it'll be a 4th consecutive year now that they haven't won a national title, and they won't win one next year, and it'll be 5 years, and that'll just keep going. So I'll keep laughing at them. Bailey, I'm really disappointed. I think Nuss has a ceiling. Kelly deserves criticism. That was soul crushing. The thing about Nussmeier's ceiling is, I don't know how you look at, I don't know how you look at a guy that, sans any semblance of a running game, had been carrying your offense for 2/3 of the season, and then things have gone badly the last 6 quarters, and then you dump on him. It's a bad stretch. There's no way, but I'm not going to bail on the guy. He's been really good for the bulk of the season. Kelly absolutely deserves criticism. I mean, you had 2 weeks to prepare. Everything on the line, that crowd, everything, your home stadium, you lose like that. Spanish. LSU turning into the Saints, can't stop a mobile quarterback. Why not try Ricky? Come on, stop it. TJ, you was bumping your gums every time Bama lost. Now look you like sick. Watch your mouth next time you speak. Bama on Bama, we own you. TJ, punctuation is your friend. And of course, I'm going to bump my gums every time Alabama loses, because losers like you don't understand that every time I do and I kick the anthill, you can't help but come look at me first for my reaction, because you're all the most insecure group of nincompoops you could possibly imagine. If anybody dares says anything about your beloved Tad, you're all like running to their defense. The bottom line is you still lost to Vanderbilt. Loser. You lost to Tennessee. You were all making fun of your coach for wearing a too tight dry fit shirt a month ago. You think all that's gone and he just became an amazing coach overnight? In Spanish. Bump your gums. Freaking loser. Like, doesn't that just illustrate it? Here you are on your Sunday morning watching my show. Freaking losers, all of them, man. Alabama may own LSU on the field, but I own this space in your brain, TJ Blood, whatever your name was. Cody, disgusting, embarrassing, infuriating, out of words to use. What a shame. Philip, Bama fans are insufferable. They are. which is why it's fun to mess with them when they lose to Vandy and Tennessee, and they'll lose again. Do you genuinely believe BK is the issue? Here's what I would tell you, Grayson. If you look at where LSU was the day he inherited the program and where they are today, undeniably, they are in a better spot. He inherited a program that was 11-12 over 2 seasons. You remember you played the bowl game with 39 scholarship players or whatever it was. Your culture was awful. You okay, buddy? You want to say hi to Dad, Joe? Go this way. Want to say hi to Dad, Joe? Okay. And so in year one, you beat Bama and you win the SEC West, and year two, Jaden wins the Heisman. I think you are undeniably in a more stable place today. You got a great recruiting class. You got more 5 stars than anybody else committed in this class, including the number 1 player in the country. I think what I think is Brian Kelly, when he was hired, made a couple of mistakes that slowed the progress of the program. Not retaining Corey Raymond, hiring Robert Steeples was devastating for your secondary. And so you went through the portal cycle for 2 years. And now Corey's back. Like, what if you just retained him? Obviously, the Matt House hire didn't work. Brian Polian, hiring him as your recruiting coordinator, was a terrible decision. I mean, he didn't understand how to recruit at LSU, particularly in the state. Go this way, and how to build a class centered around Louisiana. Now he's fixed that, right? Got rid of Polian after year 1, put Frank in that role, and you fixed it, and you're fixing it, but it slowed your progress. So I look and I say, if you finish off this 2025 class, 26, there's a bumper crop in the state. You keep those guys home. When all of a sudden your roster starts to look like what it's supposed to look like to win a championship, they got to get those guys and got to develop them and then coach them and make a run. But you're getting there. You're just not there. And I don't know that I believed at any point this team was capable of winning a championship. If you pull back to the 10,000-foot view, nobody was picking this team to win a championship. That doesn't eliminate the disappointment of last night, because how you lost last night is inexcusable when you had 2 weeks to prepare and all that sort of stuff. Hey, Kamara needs 11 yards to become the Saints' all-time leading rusher. That's pretty cool. Devin Morton, watching from Lake Charles. Excuse me. At the hospital, welcome our firstborn, Posey Maeve Johnson. Tell Drew good morning. Will do. Congrats, Devin. That's awesome, man. What a bright light on this gloomy morning, man. Cheers. Hope mom and baby are doing great, and I hope y'all got some sleep. Congratulations, man. That's fantastic news. Kyle, Nuss is a pedestrian. I think you mean Nuss is pedestrian, not a. If he was a pedestrian, he would be walking down the street. Go walk this way. What's going on there? Brian Turner, LSU is burning. You haven't seen that in the last 2. Again, it's the Bama is burning, as I've said from the beginning, has never. No one will, because no one actually has the time tolerance or will actually go fact check. But if you go look at any Bama is burning I've ever done, I've never mentioned LSU. There's nothing to do with LSU. It has everything to do with it being anybody but Bama. And Bama will lose again this year because they're a very flawed football team. They have a quarterback that can't throw the ball vertically. Boy, they're not very good on defense, especially against the run. I mean, freaking Caden Durham on the first play goes for 45 yards on just a simple stretch play. It's like, oh my God. How that went so badly is just maddening. Ryan, morning. Yesterday was horrible. At least I'm going to the Commanders game to watch Jaden. That's really cool. Lance, good morning. Don't understand why we see Durham have a good first quarter. Don't see him again in the fourth. I am completely with you on there. I and I will ask Brian Kelly about that tomorrow. I know a lot of people were talking about play call. I go this way. Like the red zone possession to start the game, right? I don't mind the plays they ran. They ran an ISO route for Trey'Dez Green in the back of the end zone. They got a mismatch, threw him the ball. He caught it. He was out of bounds. Okay. I don't mind the play at all. Trey'Dez maybe a little more awareness. You know, you'd have to go back and watch the all 22, but maybe a little more awareness. Use your body to make sure you stay in bounds. I mean, Nuss threw it high. Maybe it threw him out of bounds. I don't know. I'd have to go watch the wide copy. Second and goal from the 5, you ran with Josh Williams, which I don't even hate that play, because everyone in that situation with Josh Williams in is expecting him to pass block. Now, the problem that I have, though, is why isn't Caden Durham in the game? He's your most dynamic back. He's powerful. He can make a guy miss. He can catch the ball. Sorry, cracked my neck. And then you threw it again on third down, and settled for the 23-yard field goal. So, I don't have a problem with any of those play calls. I have a problem, like to your point, with Caden Durham not being in the game. I mean, it's very hard to establish the run when you don't run it. I mean, I understand you were trailing for much of this game, but you had 24 carries for 104. You averaged 4.3 a carry. Caden Durham had 8 rushes for 63 yards. I mean, you got to be willing to feed him. You got to be willing to keep going back to the well. And they just weren't. Haven't been. Hi.
Go watch me.
Go walk this way. Love you. All right, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. All right. Thomas, it was good to see Thomas last night, and he noted to me that I forgot the jingle yesterday. So Thomas, so as not to forget, here you go.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish built. Parish built. Parish built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
Right. Parish Construction and Roofing. Give us a shout. ParishBuilt.com. ParishBuilt.com. Let's see. Where am I? Here we go. Oh, I gotta get going. I am so far behind on comments. Go this way. Let's see. Is Brian Kelly on the hot seat? No. I'll say this again. For better or worse, you are financially bound to Brian Kelly for a decade. You gave him a $95 million contract and guaranteed him 90% of that deal. I did the math this offseason. I'd have to check myself again, but I'm pretty sure I remember this number. It was $68 million is what they would owe him if they fired him this year. There is no shot. And I know people say, well, A&M bought out Jimbo. A&M has more billionaires in their stadium on a Saturday than Louisiana has, period. Go this way. So, no, there is no way, none, zero. There's a better chance of me waking up in the morning with a full head of hair than LSU firing Brian Kelly. It's just not going to happen. Lou, Bama lost half their team. Their first-year coach beat you by 40. It takes time. It takes time BS is getting old. I understand. See, the thing is, Lou, like when you lose a game like that, I understand why we're going to hyper focus on this game. You should, because that's atrocious. You've also had good moments, right? You beat Bama last time here. You beat Ole Miss earlier this year in a big game. So you've won big games. But I'm not excusing that. that was go this way. That was the most thorough loss that you've had since Tennessee, Brian Kelly's first year. Go this way. Okay. Go at your iPad. And I think that's the disappointing thing, because when you lost to Tennessee, that Hendon Hooker team was awesome. They were just better than you, just flat, so much better than you. That Alabama team is, that was a 2-point line. It's not like you were a double-digit dog and you were just playing against a team that was so much better than you. That's the part about yesterday that really stings. Like, Desmond Howard, look at the game day crew. They all picked LSU except for Saban. And Saban said he picked Alabama because he recruited all the guys who couldn't pick against him. Corso picked LSU. Desmond picked LSU. Stanford Steve picked LSU. Go this way. So it's not just like you had LSU people picking LSU. Lee Sterling, professional sports bettor, was on AFR last week. Wrong team favored, picked LSU 28-24. I mean, Phil Steele told you to take the points with LSU. Like, that's a game. That's a matchup where if you play that 10 times, you get that result 1 out of 10 times. Not Alabama winning. Of course, Alabama could win the game, but that lopsided of a game. And that's why it's just really maddening that you had so much on the line against a not great team, a good team. Like I've said about Bama all along. I know you're going to focus on the Bama's burning stuff, and I got to own that because I've done the theatrical thing for 10 months. I'm going to keep doing it too, because I believe the Vanderbilt game proved my point about Bama, which is they're going to be good. Their days of being dominant are over, though. Like, they're not going to be what they were under Saban. It's impossible to be that. Go this way. But that's a good Bama team, but it's not a great Bama team. And to no show on your home field with everything on the line is really concerning. It is. Okay, baby, go watch your iPad. Go this way. Okay, go watch your iPad. Sport Mark, you think with playoff implications on the line, LSU would come to play? I agree. That's the biggest problem. And look, Bama was 10 of 13 on third down. You couldn't get, this was the problem. You couldn't get off the field. Opening possession. I mean, think about how the game started. Before they snap the football, they get a 5-yard false start penalty. It's 1st and 15. They run the ball, you stuff them. It's 2nd and 14. Here comes the rush. Milroe's got to scramble. He rolls right, and he finds Ryan Williams for 19 yards because you busted in the secondary. All right, so they get a first down. They run it again. No gain. 2nd and 10, they run it 1 yard. It's 3rd and 9. Little dink pass for 10 yards. You just couldn't get off the field on third down. And that was devastating, man. They converted their first 5 third downs, and that's what kept those drives going. They converted a 3rd and 9. They converted a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 5. This was the one, too, man. When they were up 14-3. 3rd and 9, they had the 11-yard reception. That's where ultimately, in Spanish, that's the one eventually where they lined up for the field goal. They had the delay of game, so they ended up punting. But that the first third down they didn't convert was on the 3rd and 8 on that drive, where Milroe missed the touchdown. On the first play and the last play of that drive, he missed touchdown passes because he is not a good vertical passer. Everything he completed yesterday was dinks and dunks around the line of scrimmage, but you were so terrified of him running the ball that you allowed all the underneath stuff. He was 12 of 18 for 109. He averaged 6.1 yards per completion. 6 yards completion. He can't throw the football. Ryan Williams, 2 catches for 29 yards. He beat you doing the one thing you knew he was going to try to do. The one thing he beat you doing a year ago. The one thing that beat you with Marcel Reed. The one thing you knew for 2 weeks you had to prepare to stop. And you couldn't stop it. Not even remotely close to stopping it. That's where I look and I go, Blake Baker, Brian Kelly. Guys, what were you doing for 2 weeks? Like, how were you so incapable of stopping that again? And don't tell me because you don't have good athletes. Because you got better players than Vanderbilt. As good a players as Vanderbilt anyway. South Carolina, South Florida. I mean, Tennessee is elite defensively. I don't know if y'all looked at what Tennessee's doing defensively. Tennessee has not allowed an opponent to score 20 points yet this year. It's incredible. Like Tennessee's defense is like a throwback to the era pre hurry up, no huddle. I mean, Tennessee right now is allowing 12 points per game. Their opponents have scored 3, 10, 0, 15. They lost the Arkansas game 19-14. 17, 17, 18, 14. That's it. I mean, Tennessee's great defensively. If Nico is even, if they had Hendon Hooker on this team with that defense, all right, y'all. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Nussbus needs an oil change and new windshield wipers. Hey Kelly, good morning. Let's see. Paul Caballero, morning, Matt. I know you're a huge Brian Kelly guy. I know he will keep his job. Do you think he's the best coach? So let's be clear, Paul. To say I'm a huge Brian Kelly guy, like, I think he's a great coach. That is objectively true. He's won everywhere he's been. The only thing he hasn't done is win a national championship. At Notre Dame, he played for a BCS national championship and made the college football playoff twice with less resources at Notre Dame than he'll have here. After that show, we'll watch the Saints play. And then we'll go to the mall. Okay. What? I'm sorry. I lost where we were there. Oh, Kelly. It doesn't. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, we're all guilty of this. We get caught up in narratives. You look for storylines and angles. So, like the year 3 thing with Brian Kelly was a big talking point all offseason because everywhere he's been, year 3 has been sort of that inflection point, right? Year 3 at Notre Dame, they played for the national championship. Year 3 at Cincinnati, they were undefeated. Year 3 at Central Michigan, they won the league. And so I think everybody looked at this and said, oh, year 3, here it comes. Here comes that inflection point. And I know what I talked about all offseason was, okay, but you're losing your Heisman winning quarterback, 2 first-round picks at receiver, your Broyles finalist, offensive coordinator, and you had the worst defense ever last year. How much better are you really? I think anyone that expected this to be a championship caliber team, that was unrealistic. Could they have been a playoff team in a 12-team playoff? Sure. I mean, look at the opportunities that have been there for you. Like, I'm a believer in Brian Kelly long term. It is hard to make that argument given the singular sample of last night with all of the circumstances surrounding it. That is inexcusable on every level. Go this way. Hey, come, let me look at your backpack. Hey, come here. Come here. Let me see.
That's a golf.
I think you probably are. You're done. You're back next time. You can go watch your iPad. After the Saints play, Daddy and Drew will go to
Okay.
Okay. Elevators.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay. There you go. Off you go. Right. Let's see. Please smash the like button if you would on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Appreciate y'all so much for being there with us. I'm like a half an hour behind on comments. My apologies, y'all. Let me try to just kind of catch up a little bit if I could. Let's see. Cortland, technically LSU is eliminated. They have an easier path to Atlanta than Georgia. Yeah, I mean, I talked about that a bit ago, Cortland. Like, you'll need a lot of upsets. You need Georgia to beat Tennessee. You need probably Auburn to beat Bama. Well, no, Bama's going to take all the. It would help if Auburn beat Bama, if Georgia beat Tennessee. Go this way. If A&M beat Texas, if Mississippi State beat Ole Miss, I mean, all those things would help. I mean, I don't think those things are going to happen, but we'll see. Let's see. Where are we? Pay Brian Kelly to stay home. Have Harambe be a head coach. CD Cooper, never is a game like this acceptable. I agree. Let's see. Gulf South, Nabro, the year 3 thing came from Brian Kelly's first press conference. He said year 3 is when we'll compete for championships. That is directly from himself. So it wasn't his first press conference. It was before his second year, before last year. He was asked about competing for championships, and he said they're a year away from being able to compete. And that was something before 2022 before 2023 that a lot of people didn't like. And then we look back and we're like, okay, maybe he was right. Go this way. And it's one thing to say Gulf South, even if it was day one, but you don't know what would transpire over the course of 3 years. And look at it in context of what the expectation was before this season. Again, I'm not hand waving yesterday. Yesterday is inexcusable. This the total no-show is hard to explain. You can expect inconsistency as a program is starting to build. Like, even when you think about year 1 under Kelly, go this way when you beat Bama in the overtime game, but then think about it, you win the West, and then because you beat Arkansas, you beat Florida. No, Florida was earlier. You beat Arkansas. Did you have a non-conference game? Because I think you clinched the West when you beat Arkansas. I'm trying to think who was the second to last game in 22. It was UAB. Yeah, so you clinched against Arkansas, and you played UAB, and then you had the game against A&M. And remember, A&M was 4-7, and you went there and still had a slim outside shot at the 14 playoff, even though you had lost 2 games. And you went and decided you didn't want to tackle Devon Achane, and you lost to a 4-win Texas A&M team. Like, that's the inconsistency. Go this way. That's the inconsistency that sometimes happens when you're instituting culture changes and a lot of things. By now, those types of things shouldn't happen. I'm with you on that completely. Richie, Nuss is the best you have this year. He's a 2 interception a game kind of guy. LSU's going to have to overcome his turnover tendency to win. It's hard to argue against that in the last month. That was the fear, the concern with Nuss coming into this year. That was always the knock against him was, could he protect the football? From the time he got to play whenever he would get into mop-up duty or whenever earlier in his career, to even in fall camp. If y'all were here whenever I would do my fall camp reports, it was the same thing. It was, you'd see the offense move up and down the field, and then boom, there'd be the critical mistake. I think I did this exercise the other day. Hang on. I think this is it. Yeah, there it is. So this was August 17th. This was their Saturday practice on August 17th. They were running a scrimmage period. Go this way. So the offense started at the 30. Josh Williams runs for 3 yards. Second and 7. CJ Daniels, 16-yard reception to midfield. Josh Williams runs for 5 yards. Ran a bootleg to Mason Taylor for 7 yards. Caleb Jackson runs for 7 yards. Second and 3. Now all of a sudden you're at the 20. You're at the 24-yard line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays. You've gone from your 30 to the defense's 24. You move right down the field in 5 plays. Second and 3. They blitz Nuss. He rolls out and he tries to fire one to the sideline. He's intercepted by PJ Woodland. Go this way. There was one at the goal line too. It might be in my other notebook. Here you go. Here's one. 11 on 11. So they start at the 40. Incomplete to Kyron Lacey. 2nd and 10. Check down to Caleb Jackson for 5 yards. 3rd and 5. False start. 3rd and 10. Pressure by Harold Perkins. But you still complete. No, I'm sorry. It was pressured, and you completed CJ Daniels for 14 yards. You convert 3rd and 10 with a 14-yarder. First down was a throwaway. 2nd and 10. Nuss scrambled for 8 yards. On 3rd and 2, you settled for a 55-yard field goal attempt, which was wide left. Anyway. Let's see. Uncle Houdat, Matt, in case you didn't see my last question if you asked a question earlier and I missed it, go ahead and ask it again. I kind of moved to the bottom because I had like half an hour worth of questions that had kind of stockpiled. With all the recruits in attendance, you think we lost any top prospects due to the performance? If so, any guesses? So listen, all I can tell you is, and I'm not the one calling recruits or recruits' families. So I can't tell you I have any like firsthand knowledge, conversations, any of that sort of stuff, right? I'm not your guy for that. But for as long as I've done this job and as many times I've talked to all the guys that cover recruiting, they all insist the same thing, that you never, like, recruits don't make decisions based on one game. Recruits just look at it differently than fans do. That's a year, 2 year, sometimes 3 year long recruiting process. And one game isn't going to change that. And sometimes coaches flip that on a loss and say, you see, that's why we need you to the play. Go this way. And I got to remember, if you want a throwback, I remember all the way to the Russell Shepard class. So Russell Shepard had committed to LSU. Of course, LSU wins the national championship in 2007. And 2008 was a 5-loss year. It went very badly. And all that year, people were worried, man, you're going to lose Russell Shepard over the season. And that was the real indicator for me initially of like how recruits look at a thing. And so I don't think you're going to lose a recruit because of the result of that game. And the guys you were recruiting at that game, look, Underwood, Harlem Berry, DJ Pickett, they're all already committed. Go this way. Jakeem Stewart is, the one you're after, and it sounds like it's an LSU Ohio State battle. He went to Eugene, Oregon for his official visit to Oregon when Oregon beat Ohio State. He's going to be, I think, at Ohio State this coming weekend. So, we'll see how that goes. But if you don't get Jakeem Stewart, I don't think it's because of that game. It's going to be because Ohio State has a better pitch, higher NIL off, or whatever. Let's see. Is this what it was like living through Jamie Howard? No. Jamie was a good player. I think that impression that you have is just from the interception game against Auburn in '94. This feels a lot like '08 when Jarrett Lee threw it to the wrong team a lot in Spanish, and it's just the other drive killers. And I'll point this out is go this way 100 times, and he'll keep doing it. Let's see. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? Oh, the interceptions. Yeah. When Jaden, when Jaden wasn't throwing interceptions in that first year, and fans are like, "Why would he throw it?" I'm like, look at the contrast. Which is better? Go this way. Like, you always want to protect the football. So, I'll show this one, but I'll warn you, this guy curses in the comment, and we don't do cursing on Morning Scone, but I'll show this because I would like to address it. This guy said, "How can such a great dad be such a bad person? Unbelievable." Yeah, you see, Juan Rogers. That is real life. And this is some perspective that maybe you need. That's real life. Okay. That is what matters. And I do my best to be a good Christian man, husband, father in life. Being Drew's dad is the best job I could ever have, the greatest blessing ever. And I do my best every day of my life to be a great Christian person and representative of those values every day. This is a show. Okay. And too often people lose sight of that. It's a show. Like, operative word, show. Now, believe the things I say. I never make up an opinion just for attention. But the manner in which you'll deliver something, of course. Like, you don't think me putting on a Grim Reaper costume doing the Bama is burning thing? Like, do you think that's something I would do in everyday life? It's a show. So Bama loses to Vanderbilt. Of course. Of course. I'm going to make a big deal out of it. And Tennessee, when I'm smoking a cigar in studio. And guess what? The next time y'all lose, I'm going to do the same thing again. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Quite the contrary, actually. Talk to anybody that actually knows me. You don't have like real world perspective. Like, if you think me putting on a Grim Reaper costume and laughing at a football team losing makes me a bad person, like, that's on you. That's you lacking life perspective. Carl the Cat. Let's see. Worst game of Kelly's career, period. What's the deal with Wilson and his rotation of running backs play calling in the red zone by Sloan? Again, I don't mind. I don't have a problem with the play calling in the red zone. I don't mind. Go this way. Like, you had 1st and goal from the 5. You ran an ISO play for Trey'Dez Green. Like, I don't mind that play at all. The problem that I do have is the consistency of not having Caden Durham in the game in the red zone. I do have a problem with that. LSU continues to wet the bed. Fans keep egg on their face. Much respect, Coach O. Much respect, Coach O. You mean the guy that ran the program into the ground once all the players he inherited went away? Got it. No doubt. Title IX violations, 5-5, and then a 6-7 season. Decimated the roster. Yeah, no doubt. Great thought. Good as way. Jason, LSU doesn't have budget to compete in the NIL era. Roster costs $10 million. Louisiana doesn't have the donor base to win. So, Jason, I'll I'll push back here a bit because I would submit that I would submit to you that I probably know more about LSU's NIL space efforts than anybody else that covers LSU. I'm not saying I know the most about everything, but with respect to the NIL piece, in part because I look, the way my job is different than, say, like Wilson or someone at the Advocate. Go this way. Because my job doing radio, I have clients. I have a lot of sponsors. And a lot of those people are people that are donors to LSU. Gordon is a great example of that. I mean, Gordon is one of the top 3 donors to LSU's collective. Jared Wilson, who was hired as the president of Bayou Traditions, Jared worked with us at Guarantee. Jared's a sales guy. Like my first day ever at Guarantee in 2010, Jared and I rode around and he introduced me to half dozen, business owners and things like that. So I've known Jared Wilson for 15 years. So I know a lot about the collective, the pool of money, the pool of donors, what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, where they're struggling, what other teams have or doing. And LSU is most definitely not the richest. And there are, I think the biggest issue you have, quite honestly, is outside of football. Because primarily the collective's fundraising efforts is going to be for football. So, for example, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Matt McMahon, in a lot of respects, they have to go to their key donors to pull funds when they need something, right? Like who can they call to get what they need, sort of thing. But for football specifically, LSU's in an okay spot. They're not great. Like I know there was that report. Go this way. There was that report. I forget who put it. It made the rounds on Twitter a few weeks ago, and I forgot what outlet did it. But it said like LSU had the 3rd highest NIL budget with like $20 million. Like I will tell you that is, I know for a fact that is factually inaccurate. LSU does not have a $20 million NIL budget. See if I can find where that was. But while I look this up to finish that point. Anyway, point B.
Move it.
Where it is. I was trying to find it. Anyway, maybe one of y'all remembered. You could find it and link it to me. But look at Bryce Underwood. Like, you think Bryce Underwood's coming here because he loves the gumbo? I think it's been a collective, pun sort of intended, effort whereby LSU's done a great job recruiting him. He's got a great relationship with Joe Sloan. He likes the culture around LSU, likes the fact that you've had 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks that went 1 and 2 overall, in Burrow and Daniels, that are doing great in the NFL. So they sold him on making not just a short-term NIL decision, but say wherever you go, you're going to get NIL money. But who's going to set you up to make NFL first-round money and get to your second contract where you make $400 million on that second contract? Go this way. But the NIL money is there. So anyway, Go this way 101 times. So the advantage LSU has and will always have is the dirt. You'll have kids from Louisiana that want to play for LSU, and like Will Campbell's a great example. Like Will Campbell should have your respect. If Will Campbell wanted to, he could have gone in the portal after last year and gone somewhere and gotten 7 figures. Garrett Nussmeier should have your respect. Among starting quarterbacks in the SEC, Garrett Nussmeier is probably I will comfortably say he is in the bottom 3 in NIL money. Go this way, 102. I would say he is in the bottom 3 of NIL earners among starting quarterbacks in the SEC. Garrett Nussmeier could go in the portal after this season. Now you can roll your eyes at it because of the interceptions yesterday and the last 2 weeks, but Garrett Nussmeier could go in the transfer portal, go get 7 figures to go be a quarterback somewhere else. That's not what he wants to do. So I respect that. And if he wanted to, I would get it, because who would turn away from $1 million or more, you know? Anyway, I thought Bama was burning ball, boy. They are. Did you not see them give up 40 points to Vanderbilt? Did you not see them lose to Tennessee and score 17 points in that game? Did you not see them throw up all over themselves against South Carolina and have to survive an onside kick? Oh, they are. And they're going to lose again. And I'm going to laugh my behind off when they do. It's going to be wonderful. Just like the other 2 were. And will continue to be. Jaden covered up the coaching staff defensively. Amy, do you think the offensive play calling are indefensible? You know, Amy, I don't know. I'll always say this when it comes to play calling. Give me an example. If you got a problem with the play calling, give me an example of something you didn't like. I told you the thing that I don't like is I think you have to feature Caden Durham more. But give me an example of something that you don't like, and then let's look at it. Because I think it's, generally speaking, I think it is a very common fan narrative to go, oh, the play calling. Well, the first thing is, number one, you and I don't know the play call. You don't know if Nuss checked out of something at the line. You don't know if Nuss missed a read. You know, like there's a lot that goes into that we maybe don't know. So give me an example of something that you didn't like, and then let's look at it. Like, I'll tell you at the end of the first half, running when you were trying to get in field goal range, when you had 2nd and 15 after the false start by Chester, you okay, baby? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You go watch your iPad? Go this way. On 2nd and 15, they were trying to get into a manageable 3rd down spot, and so they ran a screen to Josh Williams that gained 4 yards. So you had 3rd and 11. Well, the 3rd and 11 play, they threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to Caden Durham. I mean, I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to get Caden Durham sort of as an extension of the run, to get Caden Durham in space to get enough yards to get a field goal attempt. So they were at the 38-yard line. So they're at the Bama 38. You probably need about 8 yards, 7-8 yards to get Damian Ramos an attempt. Well, they ran everyone's thinking you're going to throw vertically. And so you run a play in the flat for Caden Durham, who's got great speed, thinking, get him some space, get 8-10 yards, and then you can kick the field goal. Bama read it perfectly. They dropped him for a 6-yard loss, shot a field goal range. Like, it's so easy to look at that and say, terrible play call. But do you understand what they're trying to do in that situation? I mean, you're at the 38, it's 3rd and 11. You probably need 8 yards. They're thinking you're going to go vertical at the sticks, right, to get a first down and stop the clock. So you run something in the flat where if the defense is dropping, then you run it in the flat, catch, run, maybe get out of bounds, give yourself a chance to kick a field goal. Like, I understand what they're doing. Sometimes the other team makes a good play. It didn't work. So it was obviously a bad call. It didn't work. But can you live with what they did there? I don't know. Maybe not. And then the goal to go situation. Remember, on the first goal to go situation from the 5, you had 2 goal to go situations in this game. Both started at the 5. So in the first one, you threw it to Tradez on first down, then ran Josh Williams, then looked for Kyron Lacey. Go this way. On the second one, you ran it on first down to try to give yourself a different down and distance in a goal to go situation. And on a second down, you threw it, and that's where Nuss threw the pick over the middle. So you weren't predictable there. You reversed your play calling tendency. It's one of the situations where you wish Nuss had seen the drop in his zone and had thrown the ball away or rolled out or lived to play another down. Instead, you throw a pick, and that for all intents and purposes ended the game. So again, like, I'm not saying no definitively. I'm just saying, if you're going to tell me play call, tell me what specifically you didn't like. Like last week, the big conversation was, whoops. Last week, the big conversation was, well, you throw it on first down, you run it on second down, you throw it on third down, you punt. Like, if you throw on first down, that's breaking tendency. And if you throw an incomplete pass on first down, 99% of time in football, when you throw an incomplete pass on first down, you run it on second down to give yourself a more manageable third down so you don't throw an incomplete pass again, you're looking at 3rd and 10. The problem LSU had against A&M was when they would run on second down, they got stuffed. And so then you were still looking at a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. So is it play call? Is it execution? I think it's probably a little bit of all of it. I don't know. That's a long explanation. Anyway, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here. See if we can get a few more. Whoops. Jason Daniels, once in a generation talent, covered up the coaching staff. Made up for the worst defense for sure. I would disagree on the staff's ability to scheme, because Mike Denbrock was your play caller last year, and he was awesome. He's been a play caller for decades and is fantastic. And you're actually seeing that right now at Notre Dame, because he's playing with a quarterback in Riley Leonard who really isn't a great thrower. And they still got them, knocking on the door of the playoff. And that's, by the way, they've lost like 3 offensive linemen. Like, I said it a lot last year, and I like Joe Sloan and think Joe's a really good coach and is going to be a head coach for a lot of reasons. He can recruit. He's a good offensive guy. He's got great energy. Like, Joe's going to be a head coach. The losing Mike Denbrock stings. Mike is a great offensive coach. He should have won the Broyles Award last year. So I'll push back a little bit when you say like now Jaden is magnificent. And by the way, there was nobody higher on Jaden Daniels from day one than me. So it ain't like that's hindsight. Y'all know a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all were all on the bench Jaden train throughout the first season and also after Florida State last year. Y'all know who you are. Chris, LSU is a top 10 booster club. Don't think money is the issue here. That's just not true, Chris. LSU is not a top 10 collective. They're not. Beach.
We're at the beach.
We're at the beach. At the beach. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. Go this way. It's a distraction for the pain. I'm glad Drew's bringing the levity. Let's see. This is true. Todd said too many fan bases think the program is at a level that it's not. Todd, this was so. I hate to do we talked about but when we're at media days, I like to do this exercise. Some of you heard me say this, so forgive me if you've heard me say it already, but we'll do it again. I like to do this exercise at media days because you have the entire SEC football culture all in one place. You have coaches and players and administrators and media and everybody. They're all in one place. And so it's sometimes you can try to get like a consensus when you ask the same question to everybody to see what it was. And so I asked over and over and over again, like everybody there, how many teams do you think the SEC gets in? And everyone said, minimum 4, probably 5 or 6. And when you think of it in those terms, and my thing has always been your minimum is going to be 3. And there's years you get 4. And I've done the numbers, right? Like when looked at the 14 in the 10 years of a 14 playoff, how many times the SEC would have gotten more than 3? And actually 2 years, the SEC would have gotten 1 in. And 14 and 15, Bama would have been the only SEC team in the top 12. But Georgia and Texas and Bama and LSU and Tennessee and Missouri and Texas A&M, like all of these teams all had this expectation that they're 12-team playoff, but we'll be in that. Well, I just rattled off 7 teams. Like somebody was going to be disappointed. Like the assumption is, my team will be in a 12-team playoff. But if you look back at the last decade, how many times LSU would have been in a 12-team playoff? It was twice. It was 18 and 19. In 2018, they would have been in because it was a weird year where they would have gotten in as a 9-3 team. Oh, this sweet. Because of some upsets that happened there at the end of the year. So like, this is the thing that for all the Bama people that are doing the LSU is burning thing today that I've tried to say for a while now, like LSU's not burning. This is what LSU is. I'm well aware of what LSU is. They're a good program with great fans, good recruiting base that consistently wins 8-9 games a year, and about every half decade you pop that big season. 03, 07, 11, 15. Remember 15, you went to Bama with Fournette's great year. You were number 2 in the first CFP standings. Like, and then you lost to Bama and you unraveled. You lost to Arkansas and Ole Miss, and it all just came apart. But that was a really good team that let it get away. 19, right? So like that's what LSU is. They're a team that has struggled developing consistency, but usually about every half decade, you'll see a big boom season. And I think a lot of people hoped this would be that season, year 3 under Brian Kelly, 5th year from the championship. But I think this more closely kind of resembles the situation that Saban inherited from DiNardo, where you had back-to-back losing seasons in 98, 99. Saban came in, got you on the right track in year 1, won the SEC in year 2 in 01, but 02, Saban's 3rd year, they lost 5 games that year. And I remember, y'all, it's weird the things you remember. But in 02, LSU went 8-5. But in 02, in the preseason, Lee Corso picked LSU in Texas to play for the national championship in 02. And LSU lost 5 games that year. And then the next year, they ended up winning the national championship, as we all know. So I know this was a year a lot of people had sort of identified as, okay, year 3 under Brian Kelly. I just don't know how realistic it was to think this team was going to compete for a championship. My hope was they could find a way to win some of those 50-50 games and find their way in as an at-large in the playoff. It'd be really cool if they had a home game. Cookie Monster. But I agree with that. Like, there's a lot of fan base. Look at Missouri. Missouri had an 11-win season last year. They had Brady Cook coming back, Luther Burden, and they had the easiest schedule in the SEC by opponents' win-loss percentage, right? And so there's a lot of Missouri people who are like, Missouri be a playoff team. Look where Missouri is right now. They stink. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's going to be sort of recalibrated for people in the playoff era as you continue to see a sample size grow. All right, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Shout out to all of our sponsors, y'all. Brock, if you need an orthopedist, after-hours clinics open, Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Unique Physique and Restored Motions. Unique Physique is semaglutide, tirzepatide. That's Ozempic, Mounjaro. Go this way. Lowest prices, no contracts. Do the whole thing over telemed. They can ship your medicine anywhere in the country. So if you're watching us somewhere outside of the country, check out uniquephysique.com. And of course, Restored Motions if you're in Baton Rouge or the area. You got pain, book a session with Crystal Poche. She'll take you out of it. It's Restored Motions and restoredmotions.com. I should have had my banner, a ticker going at the bottom the whole time. My bad, y'all. Not that you all actually care, but let's see. Y'all said this about Burrow his first year, said about Daniels his first year. It's true, Caleb. It's why one of the reasons why everybody who's dumping on Nuss and like he shouldn't come back, I'm like, I want Nuss back, absolutely. I'd want a fifth-year guy with a ton of experience. Burrow in 2018 went the entire month of October without throwing a touchdown pass. Jaden Daniels, y'all all wanted canned in 2022 because he wouldn't throw interceptions. Go this way. I love you. What are you doing? Amy said again, how did Sloan become a protected class to the media? No one will question him as a play caller. So, Amy, one thing to keep in mind is like we don't get to interview Joe Sloan. So, I mean, how do you question someone that you don't get to interview? We talked to Joe once in fall camp. Maybe we'll get to talk to him again in spring. I don't know. But I'll tell you again, like, if you have a problem with the play calling, give me a specific example of what you're talking about, and we could talk about it. Let's see. Brambo, those picks Nuss through in fall camp were an indicator of how he'd play. I think next year Brian Kelly ought to let all the young players play. No, come on, man. By the way, I mean, Brambo, you did that this year, especially defensively. First of all, like, you are playing Caden Durham. You are seeing Don McKinley play. Gabe Relaford played last night. And you go this way, and you spend the first month of the season getting all those young guys in the secondary playing time to see who you were kind of gonna ride with. And the secondary has been much better. Like, I think that's objectively true. God, especially from what you were a year ago. Let's see. Jacob, Matt, you know what else is funny? Bama fans acted like they won the Super Bowl. They can't beat a team out of Tennessee. The worst team there is Vandy. Bama's got their issues. Look, Bama whipped LSU last night. That is objective fact, and there's no way looking around it. Also, objectively true is Bama's got their own issues, and they're going to lose again, and I'm going to laugh at them when they do. It'll be a lot of fun to do. But specifically, big picture, like, that was an opportunity for LSU that they blew, flat blew. Your home field, night game, every situation you wanted, extra week to prepare. And you no-showed. John said LSU was in the game until the interception in the end zone. Really? Yes, they were. It was 21-6 when Nuss threw that pick. If you score there, you're looking at a 21-13. You're looking at a one-score game. You're in it. Really, when the game changed was the fumble, because you got the stop on 4th and 1. So as bad as it felt, you had hung in there. It's 14-6. You get the 4th down stop, and you get the ball with 3:37 to play in the half, and you're getting the ball to start the second half. So you're thinking, man, go get points here. Get the ball to start the second half. You can take the lead, flip the whole game. And on the first play, fumble. 3 plays later, they're in the end zone. It's 21-6. And that's really where it felt low. Let's see. Moffitt was the only constant across the 3 championship. Kelly let him walk. Yeah, I was not thrilled about that. But every coach is entitled to bring in their own staff and build the program as they see fit. But I'm with you. And I know Tommy Moffitt didn't want to leave. I know that for a fact. Matthew said, "Morning, Matt. I know I'm being dramatic. I'm terrified Woodward got us a coach we can't buy out, and we'll look back and remember this like Jimbo at A&M, all the resources, no results." Well, you've already, what, buddy? Count. Well, you've already had more success than Jimbo ever did at A&M. You've had 2 10-win seasons. You have a Heisman winner. You won the SEC West. I understand, believe me, I understand how everyone is feeling after last night. That was a miserable watch. And I don't know in any other way I could say it, wholly and completely inexcusable. To completely no-show in that spot. I also don't look at one game to say that wipes away all the good and all the progress. It's very difficult. You know the old saying, 1,000 attaboys go down the drain with 1 O bleep? That's what last night felt like. All the progress you've made in 2 years, 2+ seasons, felt like that all got questioned or wiped away because of that result. And not only the result, because I think if you had lost a close game, and Bama was favored, if you lost a close game, you lost a field goal game or something, as disappointing as that would have been, you could have looked and said, you're close. To get housed and to be not competitive is makes you question everything. And Brian Kelly should be questioning everything right now. From staff, support staff, game day routine, game week routine, bye week routine. What happened that caused you, when you've really been consistent? Go to mall with daddy. You want to say hi to dad, show? Okay. What caused that to come apart at the seams so badly? Let's see. All right. Gunner, I won't comment what I want out of respect for the no cursing policy on the baseball season. Yo, man. When you think about being a sports fan here right now, so LSU football, for all intents and purposes, out of the playoff mix. The Saints fired their coach. They're maybe the worst team in the NFL. The Pelicans can't keep anybody healthy. Found out yesterday Zion's out indefinitely with a hamstring injury. So Herb, DeJounte, Zion, Trey still hasn't played yet this year. CJ's hurt. You tell me, who is that? Yeah. Okay. It's an elevator YouTube channel. He watches guy ride elevators. Anyway. Yeah, like we need something good. I think Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey, let's go. Let's see. Run Durham this way. Go this way by Higo on production. Let's see. Scone, is it time to start putting blame on Frank Wilson and Brad Davis? Wilson keeps putting Williams on goal line when it doesn't need to be there. Caleb Jackson should be goal line. So I'll disagree with you on Caleb Jackson. I don't know that we've seen anything from Caleb Jackson this year that suggests he should be the guy. And that was a miss. I mean, we all looked at Caleb Jackson coming into this season like that's going to be the guy. And truthfully, Caden Durham has been your best back. I'm with you that I don't need to see Josh Williams in goal line situations, but Caden Durham, I think, needs to be that guy. As far as Frank, look, man, he's also your recruiting coordinator, your associate head coach. You had Harlan Berry committed, number one running back in the country, who's going to add a completely different dimension to your offense next year. And the Brad Davis thing is interesting because 2 years ago, he was the only guy retained from Ogeron's staff. And they made the decision in 22 to play the two tackles, Campbell and Jones. And so they took their lumps. But by the end of last season, or the end of that season, they were good. Last season, they were really good. And they had a tremendous expectation this year. And it just hasn't worked out. They've been great pass blocking, but the run blocking obviously hasn't been there. So you're going to lose 4 starters off of this line. And so what does it look like next year? Now, you've still recruited exceptionally well. I mean, Weston Davis was a 5-star that you flipped from A&M. Tyree Adams is a young athletic guy that they're high on. Got a good offensive line group committed for this year. You can look ahead for 2026. Lamar Brown's 5-star, number one offense. You had 2 offensive linemen in the area, one from Lamar Brown from U-High and then the kid from EA. You'll have plenty of talent, and I trust Brad Davis to develop it. Brian Kelly to identify it, and then these guys to recruit and develop. But I would have never believed the start of this season with all the hype around this offensive line and with Campbell saying what he said before the USC game about, we are going to run the ball, we're going to get in a street fight, all that stuff. I would have never believed that LSU would be sitting here through 9 games as the worst rushing offense in the SEC. That's just a gigantic surprise, Yeah. Emmanuel said Davis got his behind chewed by Kelly, and I think what happened there was if you watched to the end, Nussmeier got hit, and that was when they had the roughing the passer, and they hit Nuss late, and nobody went and helped Nuss up. I think that's probably what Brian Kelly was saying. Like, why aren't any of your guys helping him? That's what I would assume. I don't know that, but Robert said with 10 interceptions, Nuss's draft chance diminished. If he comes back next year, does he keep his starting job? Absolutely, he keeps his starting job. And I don't know what that means about his draft prospects. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts took Anthony Richardson with the 4th overall pick when he played in like a dozen games. I mean, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. They reach for quarterbacks. They look for skill set that they can develop. Marcus, Matt, love your show. Love your interaction with your son. Great father. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That's sure is the best part every day of my life, man. It's all of this stuff. It's perspective, right? If you're a parent, you understand that. Like, it's just perspective in life. As much as we love our teams and want our teams to win, and we invest so much of our time, money, emotion into our teams, as much as it sucks when they lose, especially the way last night went, like, that's just perspective, right? Let's see, which team hurts you more, the Saints or the Bungle Tigers? If it's those Bungle Tigers, you might as well let the pain go, because long as we have a say so, that annual butt whipping is tradition. Um, I don't know what you're saying there. Um, so you're Bama fan, I guess? I don't know. I think it depends. Um, I don't know, man. I want my teams to win. For the most part, I'm pretty good about going about my life if they don't. Um, I'm not the guy that's going to go like kick the dog. Uh, maybe the job forces you to be a little more measured. Um, like, it's one of the things I tell people all the time. I don't think this is the question you're asking, but it's one of the things I tell like young people all the time that are trying to get into media. I'm like, the trade-off is like, you do in many respects forfeit your fandom. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Gary. Because a game day is like, a game day isn't tailgating and partying and going to the stadium and screaming. Game day is just charting the game and then sitting at the cigar bar with T-Bob doing the post-game show. Let's see. Caleb, why is Peasy here listening to Matt talk? He's a fan. Who is Peasy? There's a lot of comments in here, y'all. I'm trying to keep up. Sorry. My guess is that's a Bama guy. And if that's what it is, Caleb, it's very easy. It's the reason that Caleb, I keep saying it. Bama fans are kind of collectively too stupid to understand that I've been trolling them for 10 months. And if they would ever just stop paying attention to me, I'd stop doing it. But every time I do the Bama's burning thing, the first thing they think about is me. When Bama loses, the first thing they think about is me. When Bama wins, the first thing they think about is me. So of course I'm going to keep doing it. And they're going to lose again, and I'll do Bama's burning again. And I'll continue to laugh at them every time they lose. And they'll be like when they gave up 40 to Vanderbilt. I would love to know what all the Bama fans, like, you want some revisionist history? Go back and look at Bama post-game shows, Twitter, anything, message boards, any of that stuff after they lost to Vanderbilt, after they lost to Tennessee. How much, man, Scone was right, do you see? And the truth is, my point has been proven. Nick Saban would have never lost to Vanderbilt. He would have never lost that game to Tennessee. All that's got nothing to do whatsoever with LSU. LSU's got their own issues they got to figure out. Dane, increase Kim Mulkey's salary, have her coach the football team. Oh, man. Seth, all the talk about O-line coming into the season, best tackles, best O-line LSU's ever had. They're horrible. They can pass block. That's awesome. You have to run the ball too. I don't know if you can say they're horrible because they are pretty elite at pass blocking. But yes, you're right about the run blocking. When you have a 9-game sample. Like, a 9-game sample is enough to know what you are. Let's see, Dane, we should be questioning everyone starting with Woodward. It's not one game, just like with Miles. Train wreck of last night has been coming for a while. You see, Dane, I don't know how you could say the train wreck from last night has been coming for a while, because I don't know, other than the Tennessee game in year one, where LSU played a game where they were looked so ill prepared. Dane, what conversations were you and I having at Don Juan after the Ole Miss win? Probably not that. So good with the bad. Let's see. At what point does BK look in the mirror, start to reevaluate his process and messaging? Seems like inconsistency is a hallmark of his program. So when you've been coaching for 30 years, I don't think you're looking at approach, messaging, all that stuff. And I don't know that you could say inconsistency is a hallmark of his program. Let's just look at his Notre Dame teams for example. So they went 8-8. Then year 3 they went 12-1. They were 12-0. Played in the championship game. 9-8-10. 4 in 2016 was the outlier. Then they went 10-12-11. So starting with 15, in those 5 seasons, they had 4 double-digit win seasons, then the 1 4-8 year, which was the outlier of his entire tenure there. But they bounced back with a 10-3 year where they beat LSU in the Citrus Bowl. Then they went to the playoff and then were left just outside the playoff. Then they went and then 10-11. Oh, I missed those last 2 years. So he went, so starting in 15, he went 10-4, 10-12, 11, 10-11. So 1, 2, 3, 5 of those final, 6 of those final 7 years, they won double digits. You had the outlier with the 4 and 8, but they went 10-4, 10-12, 11, 10-11. I mean, bro, I wouldn't say that's inconsistent. And then at LSU, 10-4, 10-3. So if you look back starting with 2015, so 10-4, 10-12, 11, 10, 11, 10, 10. And now you're at 6 right now, at 6-3. If you win your next 3 in the bowl game, then you're at 10 again. So I don't know, dog. That's pretty consistent. What you haven't been able to do is break through that 10-win, 10-11 win mark, get in the playoff and win in the playoff, right? He made the playoff twice in Notre Dame, played for a BCS championship game at Notre Dame, but hasn't been able to get through and win it. That's why he left. That's why he came here, was he felt like he would have the resources here to get over that hump and win it. Remains to be seen if he can. Yeah, for everyone who's knocking Scott, this is a good point by Danny. That guy's the same one that hired Jay Johnson, Kim Mulkey, who've both won national championships, and also made Jay Clark the head coach of gymnastics, who's won a national championship. So I understand you have a I understand you have an expectation of getting to and winning a championship. I think it's also realistic that you're not going to win a championship every year. So, but the point about being consistent, or being inconsistent, clearly he's been consistent. Let's see. Where are we? Where are we? Thomas. Matt, they're asking you to stop hurting the Bama fans' feelings 0-2 against the state of Tennessee. And they'll lose again, and I'll laugh at them when they do. Because no matter how many times you say it, the Bama's burning has never been about LSU. It's been about anyone but Bama. And they'll lose again, and they won't win a championship, and that'll be year 4, and they'll melt, and I'll laugh at them when they do. And they won't win a championship next year as well, and that'll be 5 consecutive years, and they'll melt, and I'll laugh at them when they do. Golf South said 10 wins counting the bowl game is game us AF. If that's the case, you owe Dwayne from Thibodeau 500. No, Golf South. The bet with Dwayne from Thibodeau was in the regular season, period. And the point wasn't about counting the win of a bowl game. I don't care if you count 10-win seasons. Like, I genuinely don't. But the point that Dane made was that Brian Kelly has been inconsistent. That's been a hallmark of his programs. No, he hasn't. He's actually been quite consistent. What he hasn't been able to do is break through that 9, 10-win barrier, 9-win regular season, win the bowl game, 10-win regular season, win the bowl game, get to 11 or lose, and be it. Like, what he hasn't been able to do is break through that to win a championship. And the Dwayne from Thibodeau thing was regular season. You want to trigger me? Start talking to me about Dwayne from Thibodeau. Seth, Matt, we're all hurting. Some of us in our feelings take what we say with a grain of salt. I get it. Been doing this long enough to understand that. Let's see. Woody can hire every national championship winning coach in other sports. Only thing that matters is football hire. It matters the most, for sure. Let's see. Johnny, LSU got to stop playing 10 to 15 yards off the ball on 3rd and long. It's crazy how many times Bama converted 3rd and long. Well, they converted 3rd and 9. 3rd and 3, it's not 3rd and long. 3rd and 1, that's not 3rd and long. 3rd and 5 is that's 3rd and medium, not 3rd and long. 3rd and 8 was where Milroe missed the touchdown. 3rd and 2, that's not 3rd and long. They had a 3rd and 1, which is the bad snap. Then 4th and 1, you got stuff. So really, they converted 1 3rd and long so far in the first half. So they converted 1 3rd and long in the first half. Second half, they had the 3rd and 8 where you got the sack with the face mask. So they converted on a penalty, but you'd stopped them there. And then Milroe scored on a 3rd and 4. And then I stopped charting. So they converted 1 3rd and long. So you can't say they converted every single 3rd and long. They converted 1 3rd and long. The problem is they were in 3rd and manageable, and they kept converting 3rd and manageable. They had 2 3rd and longs. A 3rd and 9 they converted, a 3rd and 8 where they didn't. Oh, man, really? Oh, no. I know the Giants and the Panthers are playing in Germany today? Golly. Let's see. Any more? Might get going here. Let's see. It's 11 o'clock. Can't wait for these freshmen to get some muscle on them. Getting pushed around gets old. Well, what freshmen? I mean, if you look at your defensive line, you had Paez, Jones, Swinson, Shan. I mean, those are all upperclassmen, you know. Unless if you're just saying the next cycle to grow and develop. What did South Carolina do when they were able to stop a running quarterback against A&M and Bama? But see, here's the thing about Milroe. It wasn't just South Carolina. Like, this is the real. This is why I look at Kelly, Blake Baker, and I go, all right, like, you legitimately have to be held accountable for this. You had 2 weeks to prepare. Milroe beat you running last year. Like, it's the thing you needed to stop because he's not a capable vertical thrower. But, like, look against Missouri. He ran 11 times for 50 yards. Tennessee, 14 carries for 11 yards. South Carolina, 18 carries for 36 yards. Vanderbilt, 7 carries, 10 yards. The Georgia game, 16 for 117. All that was in the first half. They ran for 16 yards as a team in the second half against Georgia. Wisconsin, 14 for 75 and 2 scores. South Florida, 12 carries, 2 yards. And then Western Kentucky, 10 for 79. I mean, 6 of their 9 opponents including South Florida, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, all limited him in some way from running. So there's a blueprint. And you're not going to tell me that Vanderbilt and now South Carolina and Tennessee have really good defensive fronts. I think better defensive fronts than LSU, objectively. But Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Florida, come on. Jay said, Matt, which with worse in the opportunity at the end of the first half. I don't think, look, they were trying to score, and we went through that scenario a bit ago. So they got the ball with 2:28. So after the fumble, the touchdown, and go down 21-6, they got the ball with 2:28. They ran Josh Williams, and on 2nd and 9, completed the 14-yarder to C.J. Daniels. So you had a first down at the 33. He threw a pass to Josh Williams for 8 yards, Mason Taylor for 5 yards. You're at the 46. This is where Nuss scrambled for 6 yards. It was a sarcastic cheer, but he got 6. So 2nd and 4, you threw it to C.J. Daniels over the middle. He was a yard short. On 3rd and 1, you ran Josh Williams. You got the first down. So you're at the Alabama 42. All right. This is where you had the false start on DJ Chester. So instead of 1st and 10 at the 42, it's 1st and 15 at the 47. On 1st down, you throw an incomplete pass. 2nd and 15, you throw the underneath route to Josh Williams. You're trying to get some of it back, but he gets 4. So now you got 3rd and 11 at the 43, and you probably need, as they said, you probably needed about like 7 yards, 8 yards. And they ran a little flare into the flat to Caden Durham that Bama read perfectly and dropped him for a 6-yard loss, and the clock ran out in the half. The problem was you had to use your timeout early, your last timeout earlier on that drive. Part of me, I would love to know like the play call and what they were thinking. Like I can understand the thought on 3rd and 11 from the 43 that you want to run vertical. I get that. But if it's incomplete, then you don't have a shot at the field goal. And if you're tackled short of the line to gain, then the clock probably runs out on the half, or you have to run your field goal team out there in a hurry. So I understand what you're doing there. You're throwing the ball to Durham toward the sideline thinking, okay, they're thinking we're going vertical to the sticks. You throw it short on the flat. Durham maybe gets 8-10 yards and gets out of bounds. It didn't work. I mean, so given the fact it didn't work, yeah, you should have thrown vertical. Free woo. Could be said Kelly's worst performance comes in the biggest games. I mean, they beat Bama in Tiger Stadium 2 years ago. They had a great plan and beat Ole Miss earlier this year. So it's not like he hasn't won big games. The two worst games, the Tennessee game in year 1, and that was a really good Tennessee team, and you just weren't ready to compete with them. And then last night, Dame match, should the offense get more of the blame for this game? I mean, you consistently get in the red zone and blow it. That's a problem for sure. I mean, if you score on that opening possession after Durham got you down to the 5, it's 7-7 instead of 7-3. It has a completely different feel. I'm not saying you win the game, but it would have felt different. And then obviously in the start of the second half, when you got the ball down to the 5 again and you threw the pick, I mean, at that point it was 21-6. You score there, 21-13. You're at least you're in it. You're in the game. Matt, do y'all get threads on Tiger droppings deleted? I know people talk to me about this all the time, like, or I don't want people to believe me. I haven't been on Tiger dropping since 2008. Like, hand to God, I have no idea. And no, I wouldn't even know how to go about doing that. You don't have to believe me, but I mean, I can tell you when I stopped. And when I was at 1210, I was in news radio before. There was no such thing as message boards. I thought when I went into sports in 07, I was like, oh, this is cool. It gets feedback and all that sort of stuff. And very quickly realized it was a cesspool. People posted some stuff about my family. And I was like, okay, never. This is just not. So like since 08, I've never gone on that website. People don't believe me when I say that. But I mean, come check the search history of my computer. Like I literally, since 2008, have not intentionally gone to Tiger droppings. So I don't even know how to do that. Let's see. Any more? I'm going to go quickly. I appreciate y'all for being here. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Some of this, who do we have a quarterback behind Nuss? Give him a shot. I can't get there, man. I think it's one of the, like, Nussmeier was leading the country in completions. He was leading the country in completion percentage. He was leading the country in third down conversion. He was one of the leaders in touchdown passes. Like, he's had a rough game and a half. Like, that doesn't eliminate all the good that he's done. I don't think putting Ricky Collins in right now and trying to grow a redshirt freshman quarterback is the approach you want to take. I mean, I look back at 2018 with Burrow, 2022 with Jaden, and y'all were saying the same thing. So 2012 with Mettenberger, the more experience you get your quarterback, the better it's going to be. I mean, think about where Jarrett Lee was at his beginning of his career in 08 to what he became in 11, where he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. So, Tom mentioned Georgia beating LSU in the SEC championship game. That was a great Georgia team, and LSU was completely outmanned. And Jaden was hurt in that game and then got knocked out. And did you really think LSU had a chance in that game? I mean, that's one where I go, you were punching above your weight class at that point. All right, let's see. I think we're done. Let's see. People forget it took Kirby 6 years to win a natty. Yeah, look what he inherited too. So patience matters. Listen, Kirby's also been amazing there. And he got there when they lost in 17, before they finally broke through. But I don't know that I'm going to sit here and predict that Brian Kelly's going to find a run like Kirby had. I think it's going to be increasingly more difficult. Like, it just even gives you more appreciation for the dominant consistency that Nick Saban was, because you look at what Dabo's done at Clemson. I mean, he was the one guy that looked like he was challenging. He was challenging Bama, beat him twice in the national championship, and now they've fallen. And then you look at Kirby. I mean, back-to-back national championships. They were undefeated last year. They lose in the SEC championship game. Now they're a 2-loss team this year. So I think they'll probably make the playoff. I think they got to beat Tennessee, but which I don't think that's going to be easy with Tennessee's defense and Georgia's inability to protect the football. All right, 11:15. All right, I'm going to get going. Who dat? Let's hope the Saints give us some reason to have a nice weekend, at least part of a nice weekend. But then again, I don't know if they lose, then keep trucking toward a top draft pick. All right, y'all. Thanks for being there. Y'all have an awesome day. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out Locked On LSU if you haven't done so yet. Favorite podcast app or on YouTube. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching.